What makes a home? Why did the majority of people feel the need to settle, to build a home for themselves and their families? Why can some people choose where they live, while others have that choice made for them? If you live in social housing provided by a local authority, what kind of say can you realistically expect to have with regards to your housing? How can the local authority and the community work together on their housing needs? At a time when more and more people cannot afford to buy a home, and the housing list is growing, this is the story of one community on the south side of Cork City who in 2005 are asking and answering those questions.
I live in Dean Rock Estate in Togher on the south side of Cork City. It was built in the late 60s, early 70s, and it's home to a couple of thousand people in actual fact, made up of 250 houses and 108 flats.
My name is Stephen McHale. I'm living in Togher all my life, and since 1985 we've been living in the NBA flats here in Togher.
Togher can be a very, very good community spirited area. Great neighbours. I suppose you could say really we're like a little town on our own.
There's a tremendous link between the people who are currently living in the flats and those who are living in the houses. There's family ties right across the board.
We have, I don't know, there's loyalty. There's great pride in the houses and there's great pride in the area.
There's a lot of facilities here. They have Togher School, boys and girls. It's a very popular school, great for sport. All the facilities that any family would need are all available here. Right here in our own area we have a family centre in Dean Rock, which is a very popular centre where the parents take their children every day, and it's very professionally run, very popular.
I was in flats in the city and my first house was in Togher, and I think if I won the lotto I would move. I think Togher is a great place to live in.
There were many promises made over the years in relation to the improvement and upgrading of the flats.
About 10 years ago there was a plan made to redevelop them and to refurbish them and house people back again in them.
Going back about 2-3 years ago, we got told that there was social housing going to be built up here. Then we got told there was social and affordable housing going to be built here. And now it's all down to affordable housing. Which
will mean that the whole lot of the flats will be demolished and will amount to around 6 acres of greenfield site then. The idea is to bring in a public-private partnership for affordable housing. But the people in the community itself that have been living here for up to 14, maybe 15 years, and I myself and my family who have been living here for up to 8-9 years, I think we have the right to stay in this area if we want.
We are going to knock the flats, and when everybody is out, that's the first thing we got to do anyway, is get everybody out. When everybody's out, we will knock the flats, and then the area will be taken over by what we call public-private partnership, which means that what will happen here in the future will be a mixture of private housing and affordable housing.
Affordable housing will be drawn from the lists of those who are on the current waiting list of the corporation who can afford to buy the houses. Unfortunately, the people who are living in the flats at the moment would not come into that category because of the wage structure that they have in relation to it. That will involve the rehousing of some 90 units, and that is not going to be easy to try and accommodate the wishes of the people within the local community here. But we will endeavour as a residents association to try and acquire the best possible deal on all fronts.
I'm actually living in Togher in Onacurra Court in Dean Rock Estate. I've been here for the past year. I'm actually from the area. I've grown up in Togher because my family home is just up the road in Magnan Grove, where I call every day. It's grand and handy having my mum close because I call up to know like that every day, and my brother babysits. So, and plus as well having the family home near, and my dad calls down to me and that. So I mean, I know everyone here because I grew up here. preschool now, I'd know a lot of the mothers going there, I'd know a lot of the people that would be mind alarm because the fact that, you know, I know them from Togher. I work up the road, so everything I do is really based around Togher. Like, my job is up in Wilton, you know, so I haven't far to go either when I come home at night time, like, so. I love it because, you know, I mean, I used to it because I grew up in Togher, so I'm used to it, so I wouldn't like to move out because, you know, because I've been here so long, I've built up my life around here. It'd be a big change to have to move, but I prefer to live in Togher, like.
Now we have come to the time when it's time to move out, and we have plans for the future. So really it's a case of discussing with everybody who lives there where they'd like to go next. Try to accommodate everybody if we can.
There's 100 families have to be moved, and I know for a fact there isn't 100 places around Togher, so obviously we're not all going to be housed in Togher, so they're going to be moved.
So I know that parents are very frightened and upset about the fact that they will have to leave the area. They don't know where they might be housed. They have all their support systems here. They have parents living quite near, maybe in Ballyfihan or Greenmount. They also have their children well established in the local schools, and it is a very frightening situation for them at the moment to discover that they may not be here this time next year.
I've been connected with Togher Family Centre for the past couple of years now, and I've got to know a lot of the residents living in Togher, and I know it's going to break their hearts if they have to be uprooted from where they're living and put somewhere else, because it's their home and it's their community.
We're doing very well with the decanting of the flats at the moment, and quite a few people have already gone from here. Some of the people have gone to Douglas, some people have gone to Blackrock, some people have gone Corraheen, Bishopstown area, and some people have gone to the north side.
There is concerns because people, I think, that they'll just be moved out, and there'll be no consideration given about moving back in, or we will be just thrown anywhere.
They have a wish to remain in Togher. They've been here in the flats even for up to 14 and 15 years in some cases, and their parents are here since 1969 in the houses. So they have a connection with their own parents, which is an extended support for the single parents in particular.
To live in a community, any community around any county here in Ireland, it's like living with your own family, and that's what communities is all about. It's about families, it's about friends, it's about friendship, and there's a great spirit here in the Togher community, and if people want to live here all their lives, then rightly so. There's
not that many houses available in the area. If you ask people where they would like to go, they say, well, we'd like to stay in the area.
I mean, I could see from their point of view as well, they can't house everyone. They're not going to be able to house everyone in Togher.
The corporation should sit down and listen to their needs, really. I think their needs more than anything else, because a lot of them have children who are going to local schools, can't afford to run a car, so if they're put in another area, it means they'll have to uproot their children.
I think that the City Council, you know, understand very well what the people's needs are. We understand why so many people want to stay in the area. People are not being over-demanding by asking to stay in this area. They're not being awkward.
It's very important for people to live in the community where they, as I said, where they've been brought up all their lives, and where they've been telling the council lately at meetings, at the end of the day, if we want to stay here, we want to stay here.
What we ask the tenants to understand then is that it takes time. That's all. It takes time.
If you do think that you're going to move, you want to be moved, do you know what I mean? It's the uncertainty of, do you know, where am I going, when am I going? Do you know, you kind of want it over and done with, like.
Lots of people, again, being mindful that they will be moving at some time, they would probably walk around the area in the evenings or drive around, and they would see empty houses. And it's quite true there are empty houses there, but they must remember that they are empty, but we are still working on them. So they must be patient and wait for them to come back. It takes time, and again, in time, everybody will get something, and everybody will get more or less what they're hoping for.
What a lot of people are complaining about here is that they won't come and fix these flats because they're pulling them down. But we're not hearing anything about them pulled down either, so we have to make do with what's here because they're pulling them down.
In many of the flats here in Togher, there's holes in the roofs, floors are damp, the heating is inadequate. Only recently they put in a bit more heating here over the Christmas period. And over the years that we've been living here, it's been diabolical in every sense, especially for the elderly and the young, especially late at night when it gets really, really cold. The letterboxes here, as you can see right behind me, these were put in place back, if I'm right, back in 95 and 96. And they're so easy. They're only made of aluminium, as far as I know, and they're easy to burn through, as well, as you can see here. This is the state of the letterboxes that we have to live with over the last 8-9 years. And if we could just have a view inside, how easy these are to be opened. An actual screwdriver can actually open these. If you can get a view on this one here, you can see the dent. It's actually made by, if you can get a view on it, it's actually dented so bad, it's probably a screwdriver that actually went into it. And our letters have been tampered with left, right and centre over the last couple of years. And we've made this quite clear on many of occasions to the council as well inside.
There's a leak in my bedroom over the far corner, and it's really lashing around. I noticed last year, and now lashing around, it just plops away. And we've gone over and we've complained about it, and they've come back and they like insulated the outside. It's done no good.
The doorway here, as you can see, has been kicked in numerous times. This is what people have to put up with. The wood is even peeling off as I speak to you. And down here, it's just a bit of plastic that ordinary firelighters, as you can see, have been burning through. And this is what people have to live with.
Well, I suppose in a way, if they're going to pull them down a year anyway, I suppose what's the point doing up something, I suppose, if they are going to pull them down, but we still have to live in them at the moment. Now, it's that torrential rain coming down in the top of me, like, you know, I live like, but I think, yeah, they should do some repairs, like. I mean, if you have a house, you should be able to live in it in certain standards, like.
When I moved in there was a buckle in the ceiling that was from old leaks that went on. The corporation came out one day and they thought there was a serious leak there. They just ripped out the ceiling on a Friday. They obviously forgot they did the job. They never come back to repair it, you know. Didn't get fixed.
This is just an example of what people are actually living in flats here in Togher. As I said earlier on, the situation with the flats is that they're falling more from the inside than the outside.
Living here was nice. It was nice. It's a lovely area, and some of the people are really nice around the estate as well. But the flats are designed that they just give social problems because they've 6 families in each block. They're not soundproofed, they're not insulated. Therefore, if there's some small children running around, you'll have other people complaining about that. Everyone complains to each other then to corporation, and it doesn't live for a good environment between individuals.
There has been no social infrastructure. We need the help of social workers, social supports. The health board would have a major part to play in relation to health issues that are in the area that need to be dealt with. So it can't be just looked at as we take down one lot of bricks, we put up another lot of bricks and forget about it again for another 30 years. It just can't work that way. This is 2004, not 1969. And like people, as you could see or may be able to see from behind me, the only drying area for their clothes is hanging out the back window, which is a holy sight and which is regarded by the remainder of the community as a site. They didn't cause that problem. The structure caused that problem, and we don't want to repeat that.
We're in the inside of the upstairs of one of the blocks of flats. And as you can see behind me, a fire had broken out here a couple of months back. And what I wanted to show you here is the distance from the banister, which is here, down to the ground, which is only about 3 feet. But that distance in itself, if you walk this way, that distance in itself from the banister where my fingers are up to the escape is a bit of a distance to stand in, and it's not safe. There's another escape route here, up there, but it's actually chained. It actually probably keeps actually opening all the time and has to be chained. But even saying that, it is too deadly if that one is blocked off over there and this is the only means of escape. Maybe that lock and chain should not be there.
The steps outside, the concrete steps coming up, and I was coming back and doing my shopping last week, and she was walking up the stairs with just a cardboard box in her hand, and she lost her slipping. That was more, I'd say, you know, she couldn't want watching where she was going, but she straight down she went, and she bait her head off the first step up the top, and she still has a bruise on her head. Now she's a good child, she got up straight away and she cried a couple of minutes and she was grand. I am a bit nervous of those concrete steps. I mean, I don't think you should have concrete steps in a place where kids are going to be out going up and down anyway. And a lot of the kids used to run up and down there and play outside. I wouldn't have her outside. I wouldn't have her playing outside in those steps.
They're not fit for raising a family. They were never, but they're certainly not now. They've deteriorated considerably over the years. And it has to be a question of, apparently, of demolition completely.
I suppose it would be true, yes, to say that there was, at one time, suspicion that we were not coming up with the goods. Again, it was a case of us trying to explain to the people that it takes time. But we have said all the time that that we would be knocking the flats. It has been said over the years. And it's quite true to say, I suppose, that the plans have changed as we went along. So people are rightly a little suspicious, is it really going to happen this time? But this time it is happening.
I suppose I'm just hoping now that I'll get a reply in a couple of months to say that, you know, that I might be housed in Togher, but sure, you just have to wait and see what's going to happen.
By 2005, I'd hope we'd have something to celebrate in Deanoch Estate, and that everybody would have been accommodated to the best of their ability by the corporation.
I like Togher the way it is, but there's always room for improvements. And I think the big improvement will be when the flats are gone and the houses are built there.
I would love to see them housed with proper housing and to have all those flats knocked, and I'd like to see them in that area. Myself, I'm living here in Balfihan, which is only a stone throw away from Togher, but I'm living here all my life and I know how I'd feel if I was uprooted, and I hope to God that they will get adequate housing in Togher.
In the meantime, whenever these flats are going to be knocked, hopefully they're going to be knocked sooner rather than later. What I'm saying to the people in the area is, bottom line on the whole lot, is that if they're given housing and they feel that the housing in the area is suitable to themselves and especially for their kids, then take it, because I know I would. At the end of the day, unless I'm given a place where unless it's suitable for me, I'm not taking. And what I'm saying to people is, your rights are your rights, and no matter what happens, stand up for your rights.
We have no problem with a private-public partnership. It may add to the situation. If wise councils prevail in Cork City Council, then that can be achieved. Nothing that we're looking for cannot be achieved if there's reason and logic in the way they approach it.
I think the days should be gone where people are told what they have to do or where they have to go. I think we have to consult with them, we have to treat them in a respectful way, and it may not always be possible to do what they want, but at least if people feel they're consulted with and respected, that they will make a decision easier.
So I just hope that we get to stay in Togher, get a flat in Togher, and that, you know, they get to stay near my family, which is, you know, that's kind of the main aspect of living in Togher, that I'm close to my family, because we're a close-knit family. So I just hope that I'm staying in Togher in 2005.